Sherry and welcome to another video. So before we get into the actual content of this video, I have a couple things I want to share with you. First of all, I'm really excited. I got a couple new animals recently. If you guys don't know, I've had a betta fish for a few months now and I've absolutely fallen in love with fish. So if you don't care about my pets, you can skip ahead. I'll leave a timestamp. But here's like 2 minutes of me talking about fish. So this is the fish I've had for a little while. Oh, he's angry. Lance. This is Lance. He is a half-moon betta fish. I've had him since like, I think October of last year. He's got a little bit of fin rot going on. We've been trying to cure that. He's looking a little bit better. We just went through the API fungus treatment because he also had some mouth fungus. He is just a fungusy boy. I got him from PetSmart. And then the new additions, first of all, right back here, I promise he's not that flat. It's just because this tank is curved. But this is my blue mystery snail, Keith. My sister picked him up and her betta fish attacked it. So we moved him in here with Lance because Lance is a lot more docile than my sister's fish is. And then my best boy, this is King Wada. He is also a betta fish. I named him after King Wada from the game Okami. He's like a sea dragon. They kind of have similar colors, not really. I don't know if you can tell, but he's kind of got like a salmony pink fins going on and some like cool spots on his head. I got him from a local pet store. He is also a betta fish. I believe his coloring is Delta Dragon Metallic. So he was pretty cool. I really love him. I've had him for about a week now and he is such a good boy. This is just a temporary tank for him. I'm actually working on cycling a 10-gallon. I'm going to be dividing this tank, and Lance and Wada are going to share it. I'm going to have an opaque divider in the middle so they can't see each other and literally kill each other because betta fish will do that. So if you do hear any buzzing in the background, it's very cold in here. I live in a northern climate. It's snowing outside. So I'm not going to be turning off my fish's tank. I feel too bad to not have the heater running, and the buzzing noise is just the filtering things, so I'm very sorry about that. And this week is the last week of winter break for me. I am going back up to school in just a couple of days here, so this week you guys will see this video. Next week I'm having a intro to sewing video, cosplay 101 style kind of thing. It's taking a really long time to edit. I wanted to have it out this week, but I can't edit it that fast, so I'm going to have it on next week for you guys, hopefully, and then after that I'm going to be back in a dorm. So I'm not sure how regular my content will be. I'm trying really hard to do weekly, but my roommate and I don't particularly get along, so it's kind of hard to film in a dorm, but I will do my best. All that blabbering out of the way, today I'm going to be telling you guys a couple of stories of different injuries I have gotten while cosplaying. Okay, so the first real story I'm going to share with you just happened at DaishoCon 2017. So it's nothing like super horrible, I promise. By the way, if you guys are sensitive to blood or anything like that, I will give you guys a warning if I'm going to be talking about that, because I know for sure that there is two stories that involve blood, so I will let you guys know when I'll be talking about those. So at DaishoCon this past year, I was wearing my Princess Peach cosplay. This is a fan design of Princess Peach in a kimono. And the wig that I wear with that cosplay is a genie from Art Wigs, so it's a ponytail wig that's styled into this like swoopy updo, and it's probably the most uncomfortable wig I have ever had to wear for cosplay. First of all, because it's a ponytail wig and it doesn't like really sit that well on your head. It has like the little, like, I don't really know how to explain them. They're like little forks kind of that you can like slide into your real hair to keep the wig from sliding around too much. So those were there. And then I also had it like super tight because since I had it in this like swoop, it was kind of side heavy. It's like having only one ponytail and it's like pulling you all day. So it was really side heavy. So I had it really tight on, like probably one notch tighter on each side than I would normally go. And I was in this cosplay all day because I was competing with it. So I think my prejudging was around noon, so I was in that costume for about an hour. I took off the wig for most of the day, and then around 4 or 5 when I was going into the green room to compete, I put it back on. And after only probably like 4 hours total in this wig, I had the worst headache I have ever had in recent years. I used to get migraines a lot, so it was nothing like that. but it was just such a stress headache, and I was sitting in the green room. I'm wearing a wig right now, so I can show you what I was doing. But I was like sitting like this, pulling the wig forward off of my head, if you guys can see below these bangs. Anyway, so the wig, with the combination of it being on too tight, and then there was also like the wig clips that were slid into my head, and I had a tight wig cap on underneath that was like pretty much brand new. I had such a bad headache, but I couldn't just take off the wig because I was about to go on stage. If you guys have never competed before, the cosplay competition is a multiple hour excursion. If you're in the contest, you usually have to get there over an hour early. You have to sit in the back and wait for your turn to go on stage, and then you have to wait for the whole thing for them to announce the results. So it's about like 3 to 4 hours of like sitting around. So again, this wig isn't one that I can just rip off when I'm done being on stage and throw it in my backpack. And I had a photo shoot booked after the competition, so there was nothing I could do. So something like 6 or 7 hours later, at this point it's like 11 or 12 p.m. Well, not 12 p.m., 12 a.m. It's like 11 at night or 12 at night. But I finally get back to the room and I take off my wig, and I have a bright red band where the wig was, where my skin is just indented, and it felt like it was about to like burst open and like bleed, and it was awful. It hurt so bad, like you could feel like a huge dip in my skin from the wig just digging into my scalp, so don't do that. It did feel a lot better the next day, so that was all I cared about. This second story was at DaishoCon 2014. I was wearing my punkish Len Kagamine cosplay. This is a picture of it. I can't wear it anymore because I gained a lot of weight and it doesn't fit. But for this cosplay, as you can see, it has a really deep V, so I had to do open chest binding because I do in fact have boobies. So this was my first time doing open chest binding at a con. I had done it before, obviously, for like cosplay tests, and I think I had tried to wear it at a con before, but something went wrong. That's a whole nother story. But this was my first time wearing it for like an actual day at a con. So if you guys aren't familiar with open chest binding, you basically take medical grade tape, and I can't really show you because I'm like too low for the camera and I'm sitting down, but you tape it to like your nipple and you kind of pull the tape around to your back so it flattens out your chest. And it's only recommended that you stay in open chest binding for a couple of hours. Personally, I would recommend no more than 4. But me being like, I think I was 16, I was super naive, I was like, psh, I can handle this, like, it's just tape. I had been walking around the con. We had 2 photo shoots with the same photographer, but we had like different locations. We did 2 shoots, and I don't remember how long I was in the costume, but it was a lot of hours. Like I said, it was pretty much all day. And I got back to the room and peeled off all the tape, and I just had these burning lines on my back and sides from where the tape had been, and it hurt so badly. It was awful, and I understood finally why they said you shouldn't wear it for more than 4 hours, because it hurts. We went to the pool immediately after this, and I did feel a little bit better after that, but man, don't do that. That's just how all these stories are gonna end, is me saying, don't do that. Alright, so these next 2 final stories that I'm going to be telling you do involve blood. So if you are not comfortable hearing about bleeding body parts or blood or bodily fluids, then feel free to click off, and I will see you guys next time. So this next story happened when I was visiting my boyfriend in Idaho. We went to a convention for a day, and the con was called Anime Oasis. So I was wearing my Me cosplay. This is a picture of it, if you are not familiar. And with this costume, she has thigh-high purple spandex socks, I guess, and then she also has bright pink high heels. This was my first time wearing this cosplay, like, out of the house. So I wanted to do it while I was with my boyfriend just because it's a really revealing cosplay. Like, my butt is definitely out, my boobs have like 2 pairs of socks in them, so they're really big. And it's a really like sexy costume, so I wasn't super comfortable just doing it at a random con, so I did want to do it when I was visiting Dalton. So him and I went to the con, we got our badges. I was still in casual clothes at this point. We kind of walked around, and then we went and drove to our hotel and checked in for the night. While we were at the hotel, I got changed into Me, and I realized that I had forgotten my It Stays. It is a roll-on body adhesive that you can use to hold up your like thigh highs or knee highs, but I've been using this stuff for several years, and it's the only thing besides garters that has ever actually succeeded in holding my tights up. So this was a really big problem for me because First of all, I made these thigh highs for this costume myself because I wanted them to match the gloves really perfectly. So they were like ever so slightly too big, where like I could have probably taken them in another inch and it would have been nice. So they were a little bit too big and I had no sock glue. Now I can't quite recall if I brought flip-flops with me or not to this convention. I must have been wearing something with my casual outfit while I was there, but I really don't remember. By the way, I don't think I mentioned, this was in May of 2017. But anyway, so I get changed and I decide I'm just gonna put on the shoes and I'm gonna put the thigh highs in my backpack and wait until later. So we were at a hotel that was like a little bit away from the con. We wanted something cheap because we were only staying for one night. So we got in my car, well actually it was Dalton's car. We got in Dalton's car, I took off my shoes because they're like really tall high heels, and I drove us back to the con. So we were parked probably like 4 blocks away from the con center, and we got out of the car and obviously I have to put my shoes on. So I slipped the high heels back on and we made it probably like half a block before my feet started hurting. The shoes I have for this costume are like probably the most uncomfortable footwear I've ever worn for a costume. Like, I didn't think they were gonna be that bad because they're just high heels and I usually do fine in heels. But these ones just find every soft spot in my feet and dig right into them. So I decide that I'm just gonna put on my thigh highs and let them fall down and it'll just be fine. So we're literally in the sidewalk and I'm like pulling these thigh highs on in this like tiny dress that barely covers my butt. And I finally get them on and I get my shoes on and we walk to the con. My thigh highs are like slipping down my legs and it's awful. But we get there, we have a good time, we walk around for a while and we do like a mini photo shoot. That's where I got that previous picture from. And eventually we decided that we were going to go get dinner. And at this point I wasn't really comfortable just going out to dinner in like this super revealing costume. So I decided to go to the bathroom to change. So anyway, I go into the bathroom to change and I take off my thigh highs to find that the feet have been like soaked in blood. It's mostly on like the toe area, but I'm like, oh my god. And I peel them off and I have like, my 3 middle toes have been like completely busted open. Like on the top knuckles, instead of them just forming blisters, it just ripped like a ton of skin off and I'm just like openly bleeding. And to top it off, the back of my heel was also bleeding because the shoes also dug into the back of my heel despite the fact that I had thick socks on. So of course, me being me, this always happens. I mean, not to this extent, I usually just get little blisters, but I had band-aids in my backpack so I was able to kind of patch myself up, and I think I did bring other shoes that I changed into at that point. But I like hobbled out of the bathroom and I'm like bleeding everywhere and Dalton's like, oh my god, are you okay? And I'm like, my feet are bleeding. But we did make it. We got dinner, but I still had blue eyebrows on, but like normal hair, so I looked really weird, but it was fine. I had a lot of fun. The same exact thing happened again at Anime Midwest 2017 when I wore that costume again, and didn't bring replacement shoes because I thought I was gonna be fine. And both times it took like a solid 2 weeks for my feet to stop hurting. It was awful. Alright, so my last story is my favorite story to tell. So this happened in either like very late 2013 or very early 2014. So I was working on my very first competition piece ever. You guys might not know, but a very long time ago, like I said, 2014 AMKey, Anime Milwaukee, some friends and I cosplayed My Little Pony princesses. And we competed at Anime Milwaukee with these, and we won second place in beginners. I don't know how because our construction was absolutely awful. This cosplay is really cringy for me to look at because we used like legit actual costume satin, which does not photograph well, it's not good to work with, it is not comfortable. Like, I don't know why we chose this fabric, but that is beside the point. So, the day in question, I was at my good friend Mallory's house, who was in the group, as well as Erin. Mallory and Erin are sisters, and we all cosplayed together, and that's great. But I think it was just Mallory was there. So Mallory and I were in the basement in her dad's like workshop area, and we were working on the 3 Odongo that Princess Cadence has. Side note, the outfits that we were doing were from Princess Twilight's coronation, I believe. I don't remember what season that's from, because I don't like super keep up with My Little Pony anymore. But they were from Princess Twilight's coronation, probably around season 3 or 4, and Mallory had kind of adapted them to be like a humanized version. So what we had done for these odongo. If you don't know what odongo are, they're like the little buns, like spherical buns, like Sailor Moon buns. So we bought a long wig from Arta. It probably went down to my waist. It was like perfectly in Princess Cadence's colors. I think it was like blonde, pink, and purple. And we basically like put it in 3 ponytails and like chopped them off. And then later on I like fixed it kind of and like gave it layers and made it look nice-ish. But I still like hate that wig so much. So we had these 3 ponytails of hair and we had 3 styrofoam balls. And so what we were doing is we like put the ponytail into the ball and then spread the hair around the ball. So it looks like the whole ball is made of hair. And then they kind of went like on a headband onto my wig. I mean, you guys will see in the picture that I'm gonna put up, but it was kind of shoddy. It was my first time doing a wig like that. So at this time I was 15 years old, Mallory was 16, I think she was about to turn 17, but she was I think 16 at the time and I was definitely 15. So we were like bopping around, like no parents around, we're having a good time in Mallory's basement. In order to like put the hair around the styrofoam ball, we were using a high temp hot glue gun. I put my fingers in hot glue all the time, so like putting my hands in hot glue doesn't really bother me very much. Mallory's a lot more sensitive than I am, so she didn't really like doing that, but she would kind of squirt the glue on. I would like smooth the hair down and like hold it in place while the glue cooled, and it was great. So we were like halfway through maybe, and I had acquired a string of hot glue on my fingers, and I was like, oh, it was kind of like, I was holding my hand out like this, and it was kind of across a couple fingers. So I'm holding my hand up and I'm like, Mallory, oh my god, there's glue. And for some goddamn reason, Mallory decided, no shame to you by the way, Mallory, I love you. But she decided she was gonna take scissors and snip the glue strings between my fingers. You already know where this is going, don't you guys? So, Mallory being Mallory, she misses the glue string and snips directly into my ring finger. Now, because I have circle lenses on and they make my vision a little bit blurry, I can't tell what hand it was on, but it did leave a scar. So it was on the ring finger of one of my hands around this knuckle, and she just like high key like snipped right into my finger, and it was like pretty deep. And I just like, I'm pretty sure it was my left hand. And I just look at it and there's just blood. It like opened right up and there's blood like running down my hand. And at that point my body was filled with adrenaline, so it was like, oh, this doesn't hurt. And I was like, no, it's fine. Of course, Mallory being Mallory, she's freaking out, apologizing up the wazoo, trying to get me to go upstairs so she can wrap me in gauze. And I'm like sitting there bleeding like, it doesn't hurt. So she takes me upstairs, we wash it off, and she finds out she doesn't have any band-aids or gauze. She can't find them. So I'm pretty sure we ended up wrapping my finger in like some napkins and like literal Scotch tape. And so I just had like my whole finger wrapped in a napkin. And then after we wrapped it and like everything was calm and fine, it started throbbing. Oh my god. This was probably like the deepest cut I've had. Like I probably should have gotten stitches for it. I don't know why I didn't. I think I just didn't want to make her feel bad or like make my parents freak out. But it was a really deep cut and it hurt really badly. It took a really long time to heal. Like I said, it did leave a scar. I can't tell where it is right now. So I took out my circle lenses after the video and I found the scar. It's actually on my left middle finger, not the ring finger. I was wrong. But it's right above my finger. It's a white scar. I don't know if you guys can really see it, but it's literally right above my pointer finger right here. So those are 4 injuries that I got while cosplaying or while making a cosplay. Let me know if you guys have ever gotten any horrific injuries during cosplay. I haven't had any too bad where I haven't had to go to the ER, even though I probably should have for that last one. So thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for your support. I hope I can do weekly or semi-weekly content. I really want to try to push myself with that more this year. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye!